We welcome you live to season number 5 NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series Daytona 500 opening practice. And it is time. We are here. Daytona Speed Weeks are now officially underway, and this is it. Welcome to the Season 5 Daytona 500 opening practice session, of course, on this Monday, so just the beginning of Speed Weeks. But, of course, this is the first time you will see your Cup Series drivers on track for 500 practice. You're going to see all the new paint schemes on the racetrack as well, and all of these drivers. We welcome you live on this Monday night. I'm, of course, your host and broadcaster, as always, Ethan Trendler in the booth. And we're looking forward to some practice tonight. Going to see some cars on the racetrack, of course. So, of course, it is officially Daytona Speed Weeks for Season 5 in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. Of course, we're going to be going over a little bit more things to talk about in this session coming up. All right. This is Daytona, hour-long happy hour practice session from the World Center of Racing on this Monday afternoon. Late afternoon, I guess you can say, basically evening at this point. Going to see all the Cup Series stars on the racetrack here tonight for Daytona 500 opening practice. First of two. There, of course, used to be three. We're going to talk about the reason why there's not three anymore. There's, of course, a new thing that's been added to Speed Weeks this season for the Cup Series. Of course, this is the only event of Monday. Just Daytona 500 practice. That is it. Nothing else. And here we go. From the World Center of Racing. All right. All right, cars pulling onto the racetrack here at Daytona in Daytona Beach, Florida. We are live for Cup Series practice from the World Center of Racing. Here we go, cars on the racetrack. And we're live for Daytona 500 first practice. And here's Payson Lindsay rolling his way down the back straightaway. There's the 5. That is Michael Gregory, of course. He attempted to make the Clash last week through the heat race. Unfortunately, just did not have very good pace throughout that entire event and the heat race, and eventually, of course, did not advance. And here's Payson Lindsay wrapping the boards up to the outside. Sun setting in the background. Of course, sun sets pretty early down in the winter here in Daytona. And Payson Lindsay going to rocket his way down the front straightaway from Daytona on this Monday afternoon. First driver on the racetrack during Daytona Speed Weeks. It's Payson Lindsay. And through 1 and 2 he goes. More cars pulling on the racetrack. There is the 43. That is Cup Series rookie Donovan Hogan, of course. He's with his own team this season. Pull on the racetrack here on the back straightaway. Up ahead of him, there's the 08 of Knox Thompson, of course, part-time in the Cup Series this year. Will be running in the Daytona 500. Of course, this is the Great American Race coming up this Saturday. And this is the first day of Speed Weeks on this Monday from the World Center of Racing. More cars on pit road. Here's the 50 of Connor Havrilla. Still waiting on him to actually have a paint scheme. Like an actual sponsor. Not sure if he'll get one during Speed Weeks. We'll have to wait and see. And here comes the 29 Richard Cherry. Of course, he's going to be part-time in the Cup Series this season. Of course, full-time in the Grand National Series. Grand National will have their first season opening practice tomorrow night here from Daytona. And of course that will be leading up to tomorrow night's IndyCar race from the Daytona Road Course. That should be one heck of a show. And Knox Thompson to the bumper of Payson Lindsay. Down the backstretch they go. Of course, last time these Cup Series drivers were on track was for Thursday night's Clash, for the heat race for some of these guys, and then of course the main event for a bunch of other of them. As I guess you can call this maybe dual practice, because of course on Wednesday night we will have the NASCAR iRacing, first ever NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series duels at Daytona. Of course, 2 duels, 30 laps each. Field is the entire Cup Series roster, of course, split in half. part-time drivers just mixed in wherever. And then the wall goes Knox Thompson. Of course, just today, there are a couple of issues announcing it, so I'm sorry about that. If you're in the server, there are a couple of issues with that. But just today, of course, the dual lineups were announced for Wednesday night, of course, Duel 1 and Duel 2. Real quick, we'll go through them. So, of course, Duel 1 will consist of Michael Gregory, Matthew White, Bryce Benson, Maddox Beard, Aiden Holes, Jacob Quill, Pete Tart, Davigan Tobin, Juan Cobbs Jr., Braden Hunsicker, Ashton Miller, Sean Hilquich, Aiden Donahue, Landon Johnson, Eli Tomlin, Andrew Stacy, and Axel Smith, and then any other part-time drivers that elect to join that one. Duel number 2 will consist of Diego Rodriguez, Cameron Chandler, John Butler, John Nagayan, Trenton Wilkin, Jacob Quill, Sean Rowe, William Reagan, Brandon Pfeiffer, Donovan Hogan, Brandon Redford, Connor Havrilla, Connor Asbell, Brady Van Camp, Caden Perkins, CJ Urban, and of course Payson Lindsay, and then any other part-time drivers. So of course, all 35 drivers full-time, and that's where they're going to be lined up. And we got a pack here down the back straightaway, led by the 82 of Aiden Donahue. And of course, he's got his Flames paint scheme on the racetrack. DuPont throwback, and that'll be running all season long. As they roll down the front straightaway here in Daytona. Michael Gregory so far top of the board early in this session. Opening practice for the Daytona 500. Of course, all these drivers are going to be on track and at the racetrack up until Saturday. Of course, no action for the Cup Series tomorrow night. It is just Grand National practice, opening practice for the Daytona season opener, and then, of course, the IndyCar Series race. You'll see probably a lot of these Cup drivers in the IndyCar race tomorrow. Aiden Donahue leads this pack 3 wide. There's Connor Havrilla to the inside of the 8 of Cameron Chandler. And then they got Payson Lindsay, the 08 of Knox Thompson. There's the 97, that is Smith. All right, 50 minutes still to go. There's Cole Wilson. What an impressive run he had last week in the Clash. Of course, was already locked in. You're defending Daytona 500 champion in the 22, and of course, defending Grand National Series champion. First, will defend his Daytona 500 title this Saturday. First ever Daytona 500 for this Gen 4 car. First ever Cup Series points race for the Gen 4 car as well. And we are excited. We're so happy to be back in Daytona. The Great American Race is just coming up in 5 days' time. Of course, on Wednesday, it is just the duels, Duel 1 and Duel 2 from here in Daytona. That's just Cup Series action going on that night. And then, of course, we move to Thursday. We have the Grand National Series final practice for their Daytona season opener, and then the ARCA/iCar race. Of course, the combination race that we have every year between iCar and the NASCAR or the ARCA iRacing FedEx Series, I should say. And that'll be on Thursday night. And of course, Friday night is the busiest day of Speed Weeks. We start off in Daytona, of course, 6 p.m. Eastern Time with Cup Series final practice for the Daytona 500. After the duels, it's the final time to get your car dialed in the day before the Great American Race. And of course, comes up this Friday night. Then, of course, we have a doubleheader race day with the Truck Series on first. Their 6-race challenge, race number 1 of 6. At Daytona, always an absolute classic, always a thriller. We're so excited for that one. Then, of course, the Grand National Series season opener from Daytona. And they'll get their season kick-started for race 1 of 22 this year in the Grand National Series. All right. And down the back straightaway goes the 82 of Aiden Donahue. This group's still led by that car. Of course, you got to be careful here in practice, just trying to get your marks in, maybe trying to run in a bit of a pack like these guys are doing. Getting ready for your duel. You might want to actually work together with some drivers that are going to be in your duel. Of course, that's why the duel lineups were announced before Daytona 500 opening practice. So, like Cameron Chandler here, he's got the 50 of Connor Havrilla on his bumper. He is going to have Connor in his duel, so working with him. I'd imagine Cole Wilson would be in that duel as well. Of course, he's part-time. That, is, of course, is his teammate, or Cameron Chandler. But if a guy like Aiden Donahue, he's in the first duel, so he'd be working with a guy like maybe Matthew White, Michael Gregory in this session, Bryce Benson, one of them. Axel Smith, who's who's on the bottom of him. So that's going to be interesting to see how they work this practice session. Maybe some drivers that are in each other's duels working together. There's Michael Gregory in the 5, leading the 29 of Cherry. Of course, it is just Daytona 500 practice, the first session on this Monday, 5 days before the Great American Race, so not everyone will be here. I expect everyone to be here. So, 47 minutes still to go in Daytona. For 6 days of action all throughout the weekend. Of course, on Saturday night, it is the 5th running of the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series Daytona 500. The biggest race in the league, and it's the biggest, probably the biggest race we've ever had in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League, with all the hype surrounding that Great American Race. Coming up this Saturday night, of course, coverage starts 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the channel with pre-race. We go on the racetrack at 9. We get an hour of pre-race. Pre-race show will have interviews. We'll be going over highlights throughout speed weeks. We also have the podcast, the Saturday Sports Shift. That'll be previewing the Daytona 500 on Saturday. But also we'll have, we're going to have some speed weeks recap and whatever up until that point on Saturday for the Saturday Sports Shift. Pretty wide. Gary gets stuck on the outside lane as they head down the back straightaway. Again, there's Axel Smith going outside, starting to get a little bit aggressive. These two, of course, in each other's duels, so maybe they're going to try to work together. No, they're not. Hogan back to the bumper of Aiden Donahue. My God, what a save by Donahue on the bottom. Man, he almost went around. That was close. As they head their way back into 3 and 4 here in Daytona. Donovan Hogan working to the inside of Aiden Donahue. Splits him 3 wide down in the inside lane, and Donahue falls through the middle. Of course, got to be very careful where you pick and choose your runs with this Gents 4 car. Donahue in the 82 will fall back. As Pace Lindsay back to the bumper of the 8 of Cameron Chandler. Sean Rowe now on the racetrack here as well. He's getting pushed. Where's Matthew White's test car? Not exactly sure why. I don't know when he's ever going to actually pull up with an actual paint scheme. Side by side between Cameron Chandler and Michael Gregory, and they're going to catch Sean Rowe and Matthew White. 3 wide once again. There's Aiden Donahue. Oh, it's getting tight there with Paul Wilson. And they'll all catch each other with 44 minutes to go in the session. 3 wide down the front straightaway. It's definitely a bit of a good test for the race. Of course, you're going to have, what, like at least 18 cars, I think, in each duel. Oh, this is definitely not as many as we're going to have in the duel races, but maybe a bit of a test. What we're going to see. Rocking their way down the back straightaway here in Daytona. There's teammates Pace and Lindsay and Cameron Chandler up on the outside lane. Now Donahue working low with his former teammate Matthew White. It's Connor Avril in the 50 car. You got Smith on the wall in the 97 ever so slightly. As they start going side by side here down the front stretch yet again in Daytona. Oh, we got a crash. Around goes Knox Thompson. He collects the 97 of Smith, and hard on the wall goes the 08 on his side. And the 20 of Sean Rowe also involved, their first crash of this practice session. So we got a car here. That is the 14. Rocking the Ray once again down this back straightaway. Car is absolutely flying. Our sun is setting under the lights pretty shortly for this opening practice session for the Daytona 500 in season number 5. Of course, we are so glad to be back for Speed Weeks in Daytona. Speed Weeks usually never disappoints. We expect the same this season. Of course, the biggest addition of Speed Weeks this year is the dual races. Just do 30 lap duels. First place, of course, gets 5 points, so this is up for championship points. Not a lot, but minor points, but still could be useful. 5 points, and of course, second place will get 3 points. Third will get 1 point. Everyone else will get nothing, and then there's no bonus points or anything, no stage, whatever, just those race points. between those two duel races, the top 3. That'll be the first opportunity to score points in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series this season, even though it's minor. There's Cameron Chandler. Oh my God, Cole Wilson on the bottom gets a little bit loose. He'll go around Sean Rowe in the 20. These cars sound absolutely beautiful. The Gen 4 cars with these X-pipes and all that, rocketing around here in Daytona. Of course, from USA Speedway, what a race that was. Oh, now Cameron Chandler getting turned around with Connor Havrillo in the 50 car, and they're going to wreck. Oh my God, Cameron gets hit hard, and now he's on his side. Man, of course, Cameron Chandler, he has won in every single series in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League here in Daytona. He's won in the Cup Series. He won in the Cup Series last season. Oh my God, Cole Wilson. He won in the Cup Series last season for the regular season finale. He also won in the, what was the Xfinity Series, now is of course the Grand National Series back in season 3. He's won in the Truck Series before. He's won in ARCA or iCar. He's won in literally everything but IndyCar, which is doesn't run at the Daytona Oval, of course. So he has been so impressive. And Cameron looking to, he said he wanted to sweep the week. We talked to him after USA, after the Clash last week. He said he was keeping his eyes on actually sweeping this week, so we'll see what goes on for that. All right, 41 minutes still to go in Daytona. The opening practice session for the Great American Race in season number 5, the Daytona 500. And we got maybe a bit of a pit party happening now. Donovan Hogan so far top of the board in Daytona. And here they come. Gears through 1 and 2 from this beautiful World Center of Racing, the 2.5 mile Daytona International Speedway. Getting dicey here on the back stretch once already, and they're a big run there on the outside lane on this Monday. Usually these Cup Series guys usually aren't used to being in their Cup cars on Monday, and there they go, a big wreck. Oh my God, terrible crash happening now. Man. Like I was saying, Cup guys usually not used to being in their Cup cars on a Monday, but they are this tonight, of course. The only week that has extended practice is Daytona Speed Weeks. Oh, no. Big crash. All right. And there's Cameron Chandler still on pit road in the 8. All right, so of course, went through all the duels. What's going on with that on Wednesday night? Of course, 2 30-lap duels, and duel number 2 will be right after duel number 1. So the field will be split in half. So you'll see guys like, all right, so like you'll see teammates, of course, split up, but then you guys got like guys like Braden Hunsaker and Matthew White together in the same group. They also have guys like Cameron Chandler. He's going to be split up with some of his teammates like Bryce Benton and Maddox Beard. Then you got looking real quick. You got Aiden Donahue. He's actually going to be split up with Connor Asbell. Connor Asbell is going to be all by himself at Showtime Motorsports in duel number 2. Ashton Miller is going to be with Aiden in duel 1. Now, of course, we'll officially, I guess, kickstart this Cup Series season on Wednesday for the duels. First ever time we're going to have duels. Going to try it out, see how it goes this year. Matthew White leads the field, heading back to 3 and 4. Oh, Donovan Hogan going around. Oh, he saved it. Wow. What a save by the 43. Now working inside. There is, I believe, 13 of Max C. Filippi on Matthew White. And Sean Rowe maybe to trying to make his way 3 wide down to the inside lane. Still 3 by 3, heading back at a 1 and 2, almost a little bit of contact again. Oh my goodness. The racetrack goes Michael Gregory into the door of Aiden Donahue. Matthew White has a bad blink. Been having that lately, I feel like, all throughout last week during Clash Week, and now Payson Lindsay in the 99. He's going around, back up into the wall he goes, and will hit that pretty decently. Feeling hard involved there. There's the Oda Knox Thompson joining the track. Still, though, 37 minutes to go in practice. Only, of course, 2. Matthew White, my God. Of course, only, of course, 2 official practice sessions for the Daytona 500. But then, of course, you got the addition of the duels. And, of course, you still have that half-hour warm-up session on Saturday before the actual race. So, still a lot of practice time to go, even after tonight. We'll have 2 former Daytona 500 winners in the field on Saturday. There's Cheery to the outside. Of course, Matthew White and Cole Wilson are last. Matthew White won the Season 3 500. Of course, Cole Wilson, your defending Daytona 500 winner. Man, Cole Wilson, what a season he had back in Season 4 all around the league. Started off with a bang by winning the Daytona 500, one of his part-time Cup starts, and then wins the Grand National Series Championship. Just go along with it. What a year for Cole Wilson. Looks to back it up yet again. We're full-time back in Grand National once again this year. Oh, we got a crash. One car goes around. Oh, that's the 08 of Knox Thompson, the Chili's machine, new paint scheme. Oh, and Michael Gregory spins as well. And Matthew White involved. There's the 20 of Sean Rowe dropping down into the inside. Contact almost with Connor Havarilla. 3 wide. Down the front straight they go here in Daytona. Oh my goodness, a little bit of contact back through 1 and 2 again. All right. Yeah, so we've got all this action coming to start off Daytona Speed Weeks. We are so happy to be in Daytona. 6 days straight of action, and my goodness, they're getting aggressive here. 3 wide in the middle goes Aiden Donahue. Of course, Cup guys get the day off tomorrow, but you're going to see a lot of them in the IndyCar race and probably in the Grand National practice anyways. Of course, still kind of a relatively quiet day in the grid camera angle. I don't know why we're on that, but all right. Anyways, open the fan cam. Got some good amount of fans in Daytona. They're just happy to see cars back on the racetrack. Probably a lot of them that were in Lakeland, Florida for the USA Speedway Clash Week last week. Let's show up here tonight. Of course, it's not a very big day in Daytona right now. Not a ton of. Oh, this is the only on-track action. We have the Grand National haulers arriving. Same thing with the IndyCar haulers. The Cup Series haulers arrived last night here to Daytona. But still, the action is going to be ramping up throughout the week. Only session, though, of the night is, of course, Cup Series. Daytona 500 practice. That is still very high profile. It's the Cup Series practice session for the Daytona 500 first practice. Of course, there's Cameron Chandler in the bumper of Aiden Donahue as they make their way down to 1 and 2 from the fan cam as Sean Rowe gets to the top of the board here at Daytona. Oh, we got a crash. And there's what the fans are going to see, and they're cheering. This is a big wreck. See a couple of cars involved. And yeah. All right, big wreck. Ooh, Matthew White, got it. Of course, the Gen 4 car, definitely a little bit more damage prone. It's not as easy to keep together than the next gen car, which of course we used for so long. So we're going to see maybe more, I don't want to say more conservative driving, but definitely got to be careful with this race car. All right, here we go. Another pit party, looks like. So, Sean Rowe there in the 20. And here they go once again, off pit road in Daytona. Crazy to think that we're already in the 5th speed weeks of the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. This is speed weeks number 5. What a run it's been so far. And we have, of course, plenty of action to come. You got 5 series upcoming. Of course, the Cup Series, all their main events, the Daytona 500, the Grand National Series, the Truck Series, the ARCA/iCar Series, and, of course, the actually 6. Or no. Can I not do math? Yeah, that's 5. I'm just a little bit stupid today. All right, and that's of course 5. The IndyCar Series as well. Little known fun fact: we used to have an SRX series. It only lasted 1 season, back in season number 3. Cole Wilson won the race. It was only 1 race. Of course, that was replaced by the IndyCar Series last season. Now the IndyCar Series has their little 3-race mini season. Coming up later this season, Indianapolis for their Mini Indy 500, and then, of course, at Kansas to decide the championship. Same thing with the Truck Series 6-race challenge. Sean Rowe leads the bottom, with Connor Havrilla behind him. Sean Rowe, I think, definitely going to be a very, very strong contender for the playoffs this year. We've talked about it, me and Brody Webster on the podcast over the last few weeks. I mean, all these guys, like, there are so many strong contenders for the chase this season. Of course, the chase, only 10 drivers now. Way different format, obviously. Who's going to make it? And I'm just going to look at the practice grid right now. I can see not even everyone's here. Not even half the drivers are here tonight. It's just a random time. It's 6:30 on a Monday. So, I mean, that's not really exactly the time to, come to Daytona 500 practice. But, of course, we got Cameron Chandler. I think he can definitely make it. Payson Lindsay, Sean Rowe, Michael Gregory, Matthew White. That's half the grid right there, just for my top 6 right here. Havrilla made the playoffs last season, of course. Aiden Donahue, obviously. I mean, there are just so many guys that can make this chase this year. I just looked from the top 10 on my points grid right now, and I already found over half of the entire chase grid, which could be a possibility. Gregory, top of the board. Now it's Aiden Donahue, top of the row. There they go. Now Gregory goes around with 13 Max DiFilippi. And oh my God, terrible crash. Man. Now teammates Payson Lindsay and Cameron Chandler side by side. 3 wide. In the middle goes Sean Rowe. I mean, I'm just gonna, this is just on odds and all that, predictions throughout the entire league. These are drivers that could realistically contend for wins week in and week out. I mean, anything could change. You can see drivers maybe fall back, other up-and-comers come on by, but from former, league history and other races that have happened, these are the drivers that we think that could contend for wins and make the chase. Yeah, my God, I can't talk. Chase. And there's definitely over 10 of them. Of course, Trenton Wilke made the playoffs last season. Sean Rowe so fast. Sean Hilkers made the playoffs last season. Cameron Chandler made the championship. Fort Bryce Benton probably should have won multiple races last year. Payson Lindsay has made the playoffs before. He's a winner in the Cup Series. Matthew White, obviously, season 1 Cup Series champion, defending Series champion. Parade and Hunsicker. You think about guys like John Butler. Of course, he made the Cup Series playoffs last season. William Reagan. Think about him. Connor Hasbro won at Fontana last year. Ashton Miller won at Texas last season. Aiden Donahue, multi-time Cup Series winner, near champion. Also think about drivers like C. Jerriman could be underdog. Connor Havrilla made the playoffs last year. Brandon Rafferty's a Cup Series winner in the past. Jacob Quill, also a Cup Series winner in the past. Michael Gregory nearly made the Xfinity Series championship for last year. Nearly won a ton of Grand National races in Season 4. I mean, my goodness, there are so many guys. It's crazy. How many did I name real quick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I named 18 guys that I think, and we personally think, could easily contend for wins week in and week out and make the chase. There's only 10 chase spots available, by the way. So, yeah, that's certainly something. Something to watch all season long. About 27 minutes left to go in this warm-up session. In this practice session, Daytona 500 opening practice. You're now basically under the lights. Oh, Aiden Donahue is driving backwards for some reason. All right. And we got cars waiting on the end of pit road. Here they come. Yeah, it's just wild that... Oh, I named basically double the chase grid what we'll have this season as drivers that could win races and make the chase. Just off the top of my head. Like, I mean, that is wild. We are going to have... There are definitely going to be some really good drivers that are going to be missing out on the chase this season that have made it the 4 and 1 races before. It is not going to be easy to make the chase. You think about a guy like Donovan Hogan in the 43, no offense to him, but he hasn't ever really showed anything in the league before, like any real pace. And it's currently second here at Daytona. You would have to take advantage of these super speedways. Of course, there's obviously no win in your in format. To make the chase, 1 round, full season points after that for the chase after the reset. Also, think about a guy like Payson Lindsay. Missed the playoffs last season. That was when it was 12 drivers and a lot less competitive than what it is now. I mean, he missed the playoffs entirely. Didn't win a single race. I mean, it was a bad year for Payson Lindsay. I believe he finished 14th in points. I mean, that could happen easily again if he isn't careful. And here's Cameron Chandler who's inside. Cameron's going to be definitely a guy I would expect to easily make the chase this year. I think he's going to be a top championship contender. Same thing with Aiden Donahue, Matthew White, Braden Hunsicker, Bryce Benson. I think those are my 5 best championship contenders this season. I could throw in Sean Rowe maybe in there as well, but he still hasn't yet to prove his wins, I guess. Execution. And man, what a crash. Payson Lindsay on his side. Oh my goodness. Oh. Max Thompson, there he is. Round goes the 08. All right. I mean, also think about the part-time guys. They could come in and maybe win some races. I mean, think about Jacob alone. Obviously, he's full-time in Grand National. Obviously, though, a former Cup winner anyways, and he's ran a lot of Cup races before. But he won the Clash last week at USA Speedway. What a win that was. So impressive over guys like Aiden Donahue, Matthew White, Cameron Chandler. I mean, that was probably one of the most impressive drives I think I've ever seen for a guy like that, beating all those top contenders. Jacob Malone obviously is a very good driver. He's full-time at Grand National. Think about a driver like Cole Wilson, of course, won the 500 last season. Alexander Ortega, I don't think he's going to be running many Cup races this year, but still. And also, how many first-time winners, I don't know. How many first-time winners we would see this season as well. I mean, there's definitely a couple of possibilities. Definitely, my number 1 is Bryce Benson. I mean, he has to win this year, I feel like. I mean, there is no way. I don't think he can keep out of victory lane for 25 straight races. Sean Rowe could be another one that could go to victory lane. Trenton Wilkin is one that's definitely due to go to victory lane. Top drivers. Of course, a win in the duel or the Clash doesn't count officially. I mean, technically, of course, the duels are points races, but it's not a real win. Doesn't count officially. Oh, and there they go. Big crash. Ugh. Up into the wall they go. Ooh, and there's Cole Wilson. Once again. Oh. All right. Aiden Donahue so far top of the board in Daytona. 22 minutes to go. The sun basically set, and we are under the lights from the World Center of Racing now. Oh. Oh my God, Michael Gregory. Oh man, now he's nearly on his side. He'll stay on his wheels and DeFilippi piles in. All right, so here we go, side by side between Matthew White and Payson Lindsay. There's the 20 of Sean Rowe to the outside here again. Of course, obviously, I mean, I definitely think these drivers would rather take a 30-lap dual race for, I guess you could say, practice, but still technically points are awarded, than 3 practice sessions for the Daytona 500. So definitely a good trade-off there. Good move made over the off-season to add the duels. Oh. Oh. Of course, 30 laps, no halfway break. Only points are awarded to the top 3. No matter what, no one else gets points. You can't do anything else. You got to finish in the top 3 or you're not getting points. And also is good practice for the Daytona 500, even though it's only going to be half the grid in each duel. Oh. Okay, 20 minutes to go in Daytona for Daytona 500 opening practice, and I don't know what they're doing at this point. All right. Okay, here we go. Back onto the racetrack we had in Daytona. Oh, still at 19 minutes to go. Oh, we're yawning a little bit. My God. Oh, sorry about that. Till Monday. Oh, there they go. And they actually all save it somehow. I don't really know how they did that, but all right. Of course, Monday, we're still 5 days away from the Great American Race, but a lot of Cup Series action, a lot of league action to come all throughout the week. Of course, we have, right now, I guess you can technically say with the duels, both duels added, we have 7 races for Speed Weeks this season. 7 races coming up in the next 5 days after tonight. So much action. And of course, the practice sessions as well. All the other good stuff throughout Speed Weeks. See a lot of these drivers, a lot of these Cup Series drivers running every single race. You see a lot of Grand National drivers up at the Cup Series on Saturday for the 500. I mean, when push comes to shove, obviously all the Cup Series full-time guys are locked in. Not the same for the Grand National Series. There is literally nobody locked into the Grand National Series race. We saw, like 5 DNQs last season? Oh, 6 actually, I believe. And like 4 of them were full-time drivers. So, I mean, that could happen again. We do actually expect it to happen again. It could possibly happen for the Cup Series as well for part-time guys. Yeah, you think about a guy like, I don't know, like, I mean, Cole Wilson, like the defending 500 champion. He doesn't have a charter. He's not locked in. If he somehow misses the race, like, what a story that would be. Not able to defend your title for the 500. Oh, Matthew White moving all the way down there, and Donovan Hogan. Of course, all 5 of these full-time in the Cup Series. There's 97 of Smith as well, also full-time in the Cup Series. Here comes Logan Giesbert. He actually doesn't have a charter this season. At least not yet. I haven't announced anything. I believe he's supposed to be part-time. Oh, in the wall goes Payson Lindsay, and now they're wrecking here in the backstretch. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my man. Here's Shonero on the outside with Michael Gregory. 16 minutes to go for us tonight in Daytona. It's a beautiful night for Cup Series practice. So glad you're with us, and hopefully you're with us all week long. 6 days of action for Daytona Speed Weeks. The best time of the year if you're a NASCAR iRacing FedEx League fan. So much action. I mean, what, I gotta count real quick, but I mean, we have so many, obviously, so many broadcasts coming up. This is one of them. What do we have? We got 1 tonight, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 broadcasts this week. My God. 10 different ones. And that's not even including both duels. That obviously both duels are going to be in one singular broadcast on Wednesday. Oh, and now Matthew White gets turned into the wall. He goes, and now they're crashing once again down this back straightaway. Oh, Shonero. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, Shonero up in the air in that 20 machine. So, of course, even though the only sessions we've had here in Daytona with this Gen 4 car was, of course, the preseason Thunder session for the Cup Series a couple of weeks ago, and then, of course, now tonight, this car has looked so racy at these super speedways. I'm so excited for Thursday or Wednesday's duels to get a little bit of a taste of what we're going to see in the Daytona 500. Oh, all right. Teams are going to be bringing a ton of cars to the track. We expect over, 75, probably 80 drivers, different unique drivers throughout the week. Of course, a lot of them will be running each series. We've got some of them that are going to be running every single race. Probably a good handful of them as well, running every single race. Guys like Cameron Chandler, running Cup, Grand National, Trucks, IndyCar, ARCA, Payson Lindsay, I think probably do the same. Matthew White, those kind of guys. Oh my goodness. 7 of Matthew White gets sideways down the front straightaway. Matthew White had a terrible clash. Unfortunately, just really never had speed. Ran like 6th in the clash. Then had a mechanical issue. So not a good way to start off a season. Obviously not for points. Doesn't really matter. It was just for glory and all that. But definitely wasn't a good way to start off his year. Bit of a race going on side by side. They head down the front straightaway yet again. 3 wide now through the middle goes Aiden Donahue. White's going to fall back. Oh, and they get Trenton Wilkin. Oh, my goodness. They just avoid him. That was close. Of course, every single session, every single lap of action during Daytona Speed Weeks will be live. Besides the iCar or ARCA warm-up session, that's the only action that's not going to be live broadcasted here on the channel. Other than that, every single lap of action will be. Up and from to now till opening practice, and then of course till the checker flag of the Daytona 500 on Saturday. And tight once again as they head down the backstretch. Dicey. Oh, there's Sean at the bottom, blocking the 8 car of Chandler. Think about Cameron Chandler, of course, he definitely wants to get redemption this season. There, the man right behind him is co-owner of Chandler Wilson Racing, Cole Wilson, my God. Of course, barely beat him. Photo finished at the line last season in the Daytona 500. Wants to look for redemption. Will he get it? We'll see. And they're wrecking down the front straightaway. Obviously, I've talked to him. He wants to win, obviously, all the races, but his main goal is the Daytona 500. He wants that so badly. He's won a Daytona in the past here in the Cup Series, like I said earlier, in the summer race or the regular season finale, but has never won the Great American Race. There's only 4 drivers have done that in the past. Levi Leip all the way back in season number 1. Of course, legend for that, known around the league, still as the Season 1 Daytona 500 champion, even though he's retired. Daniel Mosteller, of course, as well. And, of course, Matthew White all the way back in Season 3, and then last season, Cole Wilson. Who will add their name to that? Or will somebody maybe win their second, like Cole Wilson or Matthew White? We will see. It is so hard, though, to double up on a Daytona 500, but you never know. Anything could happen. It's Daytona. It's a super speedway. It's the world center of racing. Here we go. 9 minutes left. All right. Just listen to these cars go around here in Daytona. So beautiful. We have the X-Fight back. The Gen 4 cars sound. I mean, definitely, the Gen 4 car has the greatest sound at Daytona in the super speedway. Just listen. Oh, never mind. They're crashing. Okay. There they go here on the backstretch. Multiple cars go around. And we're just looking on the back straightaway chicane. Obviously, the back straightaway chicane, I mean, it's a little bit ugly now, to be honest. Let's be real. No more grass down there. But, still Daytona. Down this front straightaway on the final laps of these races is where it's going to be wild. Of course, I mean, gotta talk about the truck series real quick. The finishes we've seen there, we've seen like what, 2 or 3 finishes where they are like 5 wide, crashing each other, coming across the line, cars on their side, and the winners crashed. I mean, it is so insane in the truck series. In the Grand National Series as well, we've had multiple photo finishes there. We usually do have a photo finish, I feel like, in that race. Cup Series had a photo finish in the Daytona 500 last season. And they had it in season number 3 as well. And season 2 was somewhat of a, I mean, every single Daytona 500 finish has been side-by-side. ARCA, iCar, it's usually decent. That's not bad. IndyCar, obviously, the one that's usually not a photo finish because it's at a road course. The only road course we have in Speed Weeks. We have a crash somewhere. Not sure where it was. I believe it was the 08 Knox Thompson. Trenton Wilkin, bad clash week. I mean, just never had speed. I mean, he was obviously locked into the main event. Just didn't even have main event speed whatsoever. He probably wouldn't have even made it through the heat race. The speed he had last week, and of course got caught up in an early race crash. Finished last in the race. Oh, and there they go. They are wrecking. CJ Urban in the wall. Of course, First full-time Cup Series season for Erdman. Not considered, though, a rookie because of how many other starts he has in the Cup Series. But here's a driver that's considered a rookie and probably going to be one of the really strong contenders for Rookie of the Year, Sean Rowe, in the 20. His teammate, Davian Tobin, of course, so good at USA during the Clash Week. I mean, he could be another strong contender for Rookie of the Year. ETR has 2 insanely good rookies this season. Think about maybe more drivers. Michael Gregory could be a dark horse. Obviously doesn't have the manpower of these other teams. Single car organization with Hunsaker Motorsports in their first full-time Cup Series season with defending Series champion Braden Hunsaker as the team owner. Some other Cup Series rookies this season include Maddox Beard for Team Chevy Motor Club. Going to be an underdog, but could have a decent opportunity of doing that with that good organization. Brandon Pfeiffer, definitely going to be an underdog. Juan Copps Jr., technically a rookie. Man, he'll be full-time in the Cup Series this year. Donovan Hogan, also another rookie. And defending Rookie of the Year, well, not actually, you can't technically defend a Rookie of the Year award, but last season's Rookie of the Year award went to Sean Hilkwich in the 81 for Ethan Trendler Racing. Here's Lindsay back on the racetrack. Oh, and he blocks Cole Wilson. There was no playoffs for last season for Pace and Lindsay. Looking to get back to the chase this year. My goodness, they go on the bottom of Matthew White. Man. Obviously, because of all these sessions they get, so including preseason Thunder, you get 2 sessions in the Daytona for actual Daytona 500 practice. You got preseason Thunder, like I said. You also got the dual races. You got the 30-minute warm-up. What is that? That's 3.5 hours of just pure testing time. You also get the 30-lap dual race just before the 500 leading up to that. So there is a lot of opportunities to get comfortable with the race car, get comfortable with the other drivers on track at a super speedway. Definitely a lot cleaner than what we saw in pre-season Thunder so far. So definitely some improvements. Of course, got to get used to this new Gen 4 car. New to the Cup Series in season number 5. And it is not disappointed so far. What a show we had at USA Speedway for the Clash Week last week with this Gen 4 car. With the heat race, that was unbelievable. That was so fun to call. 18 drivers going just for 3 spots. And, of course, the main event. Of course, Clash Week is over. It's time to get down to business in Daytona. That's what we're doing. Cole Wilson to the outside here of Pace and Lindsay side by side, heading down the front straightaway. And you got the 20 of Sean Rowe pushing out that 22. Sean Rowe has his teammate Trenton Wilkin lined up behind him. We're going to go to the outside here, door-to-door with Wilson. And he'll block the 22 on the back straightaway. Oh, my God, Pace and Lindsay in the wall. And now Rowe goes up the block gate. Cameron Chandler. In the middle he goes. Obviously, practice the time to be really aggressive as you want. Oh, and Cole Wilson maybe goes a little bit too aggressive and just turns himself. And, oh, man, big crash down the front straightaway. My goodness. Oh, we got a tire flying in the air. Oh, there it is. Man. There's the beauty of Logan Giesbrecht. His team, let's say they didn't have the best Clash Week. Of course, 3 of them were attempting to qualify for the Clash main event. It was Brandon Pfeiffer. It was Eli Tomlin didn't elected to not actually be at USA Speedway that week, so they had Logan Gisbert basically filling in, and they also had Diego Rodriguez also in the heat race. They were all attempting to make it. They all started towards the back, and they all DNF'd, and they all finished last, literally last in a line, like second to last. It was last, second to last, third to last. It was not a good week, to say the least, for those guys. Hopefully they can turn it around here in Daytona. Definitely an opportunity for anyone to turn it around at the World Center of Racing. Literally anyone could win here. Oh, and there's Payson Lindsay. He also could win here. He has won here on the regular season finale. That was season 3. 3 wide coming off pit road. A minute to go in Daytona 500 opening practice. Gisbert to the bottom. Now Sean Rowe in the 20 up to the outside lane. Rowe over the bumper of Chandler. He'll drop outside again. Oh, we got cars on the wall. There's Cole Wilson, and now they're getting dicey once again out through the tri-oval. 97 gets a little bit loose. Here they come. Oh, there they go. Once again, got to be careful that in the actual races, these pushes. A little bit easier to get these cars turned around than the Gen 7 cars. You don't want to see an early big one in the Daytona 500 on Saturday. That's the last thing you want to see. I would expect we would see a big one or some sort of pretty decent-sized crash in the 500, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, final seconds in practice for the Great American Race. Aiden Donahue. Looking strong so far this week. He's going to end it up top of the board most likely. And will win practice. Even though that award's literally nothing. But Aiden Donahue, fastest in practice for the Daytona 500. Practice number 1. Good way to start off his week. I believe Aiden is going to be focusing all his resources into the Cup Series and the Daytona 500. I don't think he's running any other series this week. One of the lone drivers actually be doing that. I don't know if anyone else really is. I mean, maybe a couple others, but not too many are doing that. Most drivers run a bunch of different series. It is Speed Weeks, in fact, so it's the time to do that. Oh, and we're crashing, and that'll end practice here in Daytona. Hope you enjoyed. We will be back tomorrow night, same time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Grand National Series opening practice for their season opener in Daytona, for season number 5. Make sure to tune in then. You'll see all your new Grand National stars on the track for the second-tier series in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. Okay. It's winding down to the final few seconds I have to think. Or no, there's something about 29 minutes left to go for these guys to stay on the racetrack. We won't be here for that, obviously. And we're just gonna, hopefully just gonna end it off here in a minute. Happy hour practice is now over. And there they go. Now they're coming back. All right, that'll do it. Happy hour practice comes to a close in Daytona. These Cup Series drivers. Next time the Cup car is going to be on track, it'll be for the Daytona Duels this Wednesday in 2 days' time. About 48 hours for these Cup Series contenders. That'll do it for Daytona 500 practice. Practice session number 1. Aiden Donahue, top of the board. Michael Gregory goes in second. Axel Smith, decent session for him will be third. Chandler, Lindsay, Thompson, Wilson, Rowe, White, and Haverilla round out your top 10. Can't really tell too much for practice speeds in Daytona, obviously. But, yeah, that'll do it. Wrap it up for Daytona 500 opening practice. All right. Well, that'll do it for tonight. Obviously, pretty short night. Only one session. So we'll see you tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for practice for the Grand National Series and, of course, the IndyCar race coming up later that night. So we'll see you tomorrow from Daytona.